hearing. On behalf of the members of the Standing Committee on Executive Appointment and Investigation, I would like to welcome Governor's representative, Ms. Janina Maritita, along with Amisha, the appointee, Mr. Isidu Kesena, elected officials, dignitaries, and members of the general public. Before we proceed forward with this public hearing, let me first introduce the members of this committee. To my right side of the aisle is Senator Carlo Kim Neighbors from the island of Tinian, and to my left side of the aisle is Senator Vince Sablon from the island of Saipan. And the chairman of this committee, Senator Francisco Q. Cruz from the island of Tinian. I would also like to announce a couple of things in informational purposes regarding code of conduct during this public hearing. Today, the members of this committee are conducting a public hearing on the appointment of Mr. Sidhu K. Seman to serve as a member of the Commonwealth Development Authority Board of Directors to represent the island of Saipan. The public will be invited to make comments as to whether you support the appointee before us this morning. However, any comments beyond the facts of the appointee or comments that are not directly related with this public hearing will not be entertained, and such comment will be removed from the record. At the same time, please observe minimal noises in disrupting this hearing process, and please turn your electronic to a silent mode. Thank you. Let's now begin. This public hearing is now in session. Today is June 18, 2020, at approximately 9:37 in the morning here in the Senate chamber. This is a public hearing regarding the appointment of Mr. Sidhu K. Seman by Governor Ralph DeLonge Torres and Lieutenant Governor Arnold I. Palacios to serve as a member of the Commonwealth Development Authority Board of Directors, representing the island of Saipan. Pursuant to 4 CMC subsection 10301, Ms. Diana Otihara Blanco will be our clerk. Mr. John Santos and Mr. Ben Terlay will be our Sergeant at Arms, and Mr. Jorgo Muniz will be our legal counsel and will serve accordingly for this public hearing. At this time, I'd like to ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Senator Francisco Q. Cruz.
Here.
Senator Victor B. Hoku. Senator Carl R. King Neighbors.
Present.
Senator Cristo S. Kirkwa. Senator Vinny F. Sablon.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, 3 members of the EAGI committee are present, 2 members are absent.
Thank you. With 3 members present, we have the necessary number to proceed with this public hearing. However, the Vice President of the Senate, Senator J.Q. Augusto Kidigwa, and the Vice Chairman of this committee, Senator Victor Hoku, are both excused for this public hearing. At this time, do I hear a motion to adopt our agenda?
Motion to adopt today's public hearing agenda, Mr. Chairman. Second.
There's a motion and was seconded. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, or nay? Motion carries. At this time, we'd like to ask the Sergeant at Arms, please escort the appointee and the governor's rep. And before you proceed forward, please state your name before you introduce the committee with the governor's appointee. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and distinct members of this honorable committee. My name is Janina Maritita, and I presently serve as the policy analyst under the Office of the Governor. I'm here on behalf of the Honorable Governor Ralph DeLonge Torres and the Honorable Lieutenant Governor Arnold Indalecio Palacios to formally introduce Mr. Isidu K. Seman, the Governor's nominee as a member of the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority Board of Directors representing the 3rd Senatorial District. By this time, you should have in your possession Mr. Salmon's resume describing his extensive professional experiences and education. Therefore, on behalf of Governor Torres and Lieutenant Governor Palacios, I humbly request for your support and favorable decision in confirming the nominee to the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority Board of Directors. Stusmasi, Olomoy, and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maridita. And before I recognize the appointee, first I would like to ask you, Mr. Simon, to please rise and raise your right hand so that the clerk can administer the oath.
Mr. Isidro K. Semen, you do solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you shall give in the matter at hand shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, clerk. Mr. Semen, we have received all required documents that is required by this committee. But if you have anything else that you wish to share with the committee this morning, you have the floor, but please state your name for the record before you proceed. Thank you. Go ahead, sir. Please state your name for the record before you proceed.
Good morning, Honorable Chairman Cruz and honorable members of the EAGI committee. For the record, my name is Isidro Kaipat Semen, a private citizen wanting to make a difference in our Commonwealth. Thank you for having me this morning. First, I humbly thank the Governor and the Lieutenant Governor for their confidence in nominating me to the Commonwealth Development Authority's Board of Directors to serve out the remaining term of Mr. Joaquin Omar. I am deeply honored, and I promise to do my best in doing the duties that this post requires me to do. It's a privilege to serve on this important board, and I pledge only my best. I will give my due time and a commitment to help my colleagues achieve CDA's goals and objectives. When I received my nomination letter from the Governor, I was ecstatic, to say the least. But as time went by, I wondered if I was up to the job. Do I have the skills to do what is required of me? I said to myself, read and learn, Isidro. Read and understand the mission statement, read the vision, read the CDA manual. Simply read and learn everything there is to know. So when I read CDA's vision, which says, quote, to revitalize and reposition CDA to perform its mission and achieve an overall vision of economic development for the Commonwealth, I knew that I share that vision and I may have the skills necessary to do the job. You see, I'm just as concerned about our economy like you and everyone else in the chamber. And it seems to me that wherever I look these days, someone is doing something about the economy, and that's a good thing. In preparing to open our borders to tourists, once again, I see that DPW and the mayor's office are busy with road improvements, beautification, and construction work. Those are good things. I also see that our Office of Planning and Development is moving on its Garapan revitalization project, among others. And that's a good thing. The Governor's Council on Economic Development is busy with its own projects. That is also a really good thing. Even our House members are busy with community projects all over the island. That's a good thing. These are unprecedented times. A lot is happening. But we must not lose sight on the windfall from the federal government. I heard over $500 million has or will be pumped into our island's economy. That's indeed a good thing. So let's count our many blessings and at the same time, use them wisely and in the way intended. These are all good for the Commonwealth. I believe CDA must be given the tools it needs to effectively carry out its mandates. The board will not function properly and efficiently if it lacks the wrench or the screwdriver to perform its tasks. Given what it needs to work, CDA can and will play a pivotal role in shifting our economy into other industries relevant and trending in today's global economy. For the past 8 to 9 months, I have been working hard to bring sustainable industries into the CNMI. Not just any industries, but those that capitalize on artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things. The world is changing rapidly around us, and the proliferation of data and information demands innovation and new technologies. The adoption of AI and IoT structures is the norm for future projects. Briefly, the projects that I refer to above is a combination of energy, food, and data management industries. They include 7 distinct projects from power generation to food processing and data management. I promise to discuss these in detail on my next visit to this legislature. These projects are excellent solutions to help boost and diversify our economy. In closing, Honorable Chairman and honorable members, I am confident that I possess the necessary skills and I have been blessed with life and work experiences that would help me perform my duties and responsibilities to the board. Thank you all, and I look forward to your favorable confirmation of my appointment to the CDA board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Senator, for your well-said testimony. And before I recognize the members of the general public, first I would like to recognize those entities that are invited to participate. The Executive Director of Commonwealth Development Authority, Mr. Manuel Sobran.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and honorable members of this committee. For the record, my name is Manuel Sablan and I'm the Executive Director of the newly named Commonwealth Economic Development Authority, CEDA. Governor just signed the new legislation and the legislature unanimously supported the restructuring of our agency. The purpose of this restructuring is to get CDA to focus on economic development and investment promotion. And basically, that is the task that you members will be facing with the other board members involved. Back in June 6, 2021, Mr. Chairman, I wrote you a letter, and I wanted to read this for the record. But this basically summarizes the support that the CDA board and the CDA management is asking your committee and also the Senate to favorably consider confirming the appointment of Mr. Senate to the board. As I wrote you, I said, "Dear Mr. Chairman, I am writing in support of Mr. Isidro T. Salmon's appointment to the Commonwealth Development Authority, now the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority, Board of Directors, representing the Carolinian community. Mr. Salmon is not a stranger to the government service. He served in different capacities in administrative areas and personnel. He held two top positions in the Office of Personnel Management as Deputy Director of Personnel for 3 years and as Director of Personnel for 10 years. His proven leadership in the management of the Office of Personnel of Sinamay government is an asset that is vital to CEDA. He also had broad experience in planning and program implementation, budgeting, and investors coordination. Further, his experiences outside of government service involve investment, product marketing, and property retail. These are all covered in his resume, for which copies of that was provided. CEDA is tasked with economic development, is given the flexibility to explore new industries and investment. We are confident that Mr. Salmon's stature and broad experience in government and private service will help us meet CEDA goals and objectives. I highly request your committee's favorable action for Mr. Salmon's appointment. In the meantime, I'm available to answer any questions you may have. With that, Mr. Chairman, I conclude my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. At this time, I would like to open the floor for any members of the general public that are here in the gallery that wishes to come forward to give testimony, whether you're in support or not in support. You are free to come forward. But again, I would like to inform the members of the general public that any comment that is raised that is not related with this public hearing will not be entertained, and such comment will be removed from the record. Director Salman, I see that you raised your hand here in the chamber. Do you have anything else that you wish to present, or just the testimony that you delivered? Okay, thank you. At this time, public comment is now open. Any members of the general public or members of the CDA family, you are welcome to come forward and deliver testimony in regards to this morning's public hearing. Anyone from CDA besides the executive director? They want to know whether Mr. Saman is the right person that is sent to by administration to fill that position. If once I close the opportunity for public comment, we will not go up to public comment. So, anyone before I move on with the agenda? No one else? At this time, public comment is now closed. And before I recognize the member of this committee to raise question or concern in regards to the governor's appointment, first I would like to ask the clerk to please disclose those letters that are submitted, whether in support or not in support. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Senate EAGI Committee, Mr. Cedro P. Semen, and members of the general public, in addition to the oral testimonies received today on the executive appointment of Mr. Cedro P. Semen to serve as a member on the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority Board of Directors, please be advised that the written testimonies officially received in support of the appointee. Manuel A. Sabuan, Executive Director, Commonwealth Economic Development Authority, and Sipsa M. Kaikat, personal testimony. At this time, no written testimonies opposing the appointment of Mr. Semen have been received by the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, clerk. This time I'd like to recognize from the third senatorial district, the floor leader of the Senate, Senator Benny Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to everybody that is welcome here in your Senate chamber. It's great to have you all here as you join us in today's public hearing to hear the nominee from the governor, Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Cedro P. Semen. I'd like to welcome the family of Mr. Semen, and of course I gotta get used to this, the SIDA family. As Director Sablan said, we are no longer with CDA, but now we're with SIDA. So I'd like to welcome all of you to the chamber as you take part in this important process of the EAGI committee. Good morning, Mr. Semen. It's nice to see you. Just to lighten things up, I've worked with Mr. Semen on a volunteer basis back then during the Head Start Policy Council time. So we've crossed paths once in our lives, and we've continued to do that in his government work. And now it's great to see you again as you are here to again continue your help and assistance and work in our government. Your opening remarks actually answered several of my questions, so that was great. But I'd like to thank you for accepting the nomination from the Governor and Lieutenant Governor. There's a lot happening, Mr. Semen, in our CNMI today and in the world in general, right? There's so much going on. We are in uncharted territory as we face the COVID-19 pandemic, right? And recognize that the normal has changed and this is our new normal. What we have to do is just, we have to adjust and restructure our approach to economic prosperity, and SIDA is going to play a very important role in that as we try to chart the course of where our CNMI is going to go from here. And what this pandemic, all the disasters and pandemic has done is it enabled us and it forced us to kind of go back to the drawing board and really replot the course that we're going to take to where we need to be. But before we do that, we need to decide where we want to be as a CNMI. There's many factors that come into play when we drive the decisions here at the legislature, and of course when you sit on the SIDA table to make these economic decisions that will bring back our economic prosperity for however long it takes. But some of the factors that we have to kind of put in place is our population, right? When we're driving our decisions, now we've got to base on what our population is, and we've just had the new census, right? The 2020 census complete. We just learned yesterday as we were meeting with the FEMA officials about the governor's office that I think the report will be complete and for everyone in September, right? But Commerce also has that information, and we've asked the Commerce acting secretary to try to dissect that data, try to dissect the census data so that it's specific to the CNMI, right? It's very vital that we use that data to drive all of our decisions, whether it's in economics or public policy or healthcare or education. Population is vital, and I think that is one of the main keys and main factors in driving our decision-making process. We have to look at our economic position here in the CNMI, as you said, and we have close to $1 billion of federal grants that have been poured in after the disasters, namely the American Rescue Plan Act, the ARPA, which is the $515 million. We have CDBG DR funding for housing, which was in the tune of, I think, $242 million. And also the EDA grant that was received to revitalize the Ada Gym and the recreation parks down there, and many other federal grants, both the smaller grants and also the significant grants, in the millions. All that money is here now, and we have to spend that money. They've given us time to do it, right? The ARPA in 5 years, the CDBG DR, or the ARPA in 2 years, and CDBG DR in 6 years, right? So we gotta put all our hands on deck and try to plan how we are gonna dispense, all of these funds, to improve the quality of lives of our people, right? It's gonna drive a lot of economic activity. It's gonna place our people in better positions to become entrepreneurs, and I think that's vital. We have an absence in our tourism industry. We're trying hard to see how we can bring them back. We're looking at tourist bubbles. We do have the Governor's Economic Council, and we will be meeting next week to kind of come back to the table and see what our decisions are in welcoming back our tourists. And that has been our main industry. We didn't know, there were some other industries in the past, but we didn't, if there was one constant that the CNMI had and the people had to drive economic activity, was our tourists. And, with no one's fault, it got taken away from us by this pandemic. But that doesn't mean that we stop, we continue. We have to become our own tourists. We have to become our own customers. And we have to pick each other up any way we can so that we can sustain ourselves economically. So those are some of the factors. We have federal mandates also that we are faced with, right? Some are opportunities and others are challenges, right? Namely, say, immigration, our minimum wage, right? Our prevailing wage requirements. These are all things that we have to look at in order to drive the decision of bringing us back to economic prosperity. So we are in this position, and all of us are. We all have this role. Us here as legislators, the fine staff at CETA, under the leadership of Director Sablan, we all have our different roles. We have to do it together. No one has a separate mission here. Everything that we're going to do and plan for from now on, and what we've always been doing, is all going to be from everybody's efforts. So there's a lot. There's really a lot to indulge in as you take on your new role. And there's many factors, and that's one of the things that I want to leave you, is to recognize the factors. It's always important to recognize what's going on around us in the CNMI, but also also important is to recognize what's going on in the other countries. What's going on with geopolitical issues, such as trade wars from China to the United States, that relationship, how it affects us here. All of those things are the factors that we need to address and we need to recognize. I'm comforted in your ability, through your resume and just through the work that I've done with you, that you could, be a valuable asset to the CEDA board. And it's, there has been amendments to that law, or the Public Law 22-01 created CEDA. So it's a good read to see and differentiate and compare what structures are still there within the enabling statute that created CDA and the Public Law 22-01 CEDA, which amended the operations and responsibilities of CEDA. So with that, there's I have no questions. There's so many things that we have to do, and it's on the daily for everyone, for every one of us. We wake up and we all come to work trying to chart the course of bringing our economic prosperity back. And it's all the reason is just to bring back the quality of life for our people. So that's all I ask, is to recognize those factors and use those factors to drive the effective decision making that you will encounter as you serve on this CEDA board. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no more questions.
Thank you, Oliver. Now I would like to recognize Senator Carnevers from 3M.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Singh, for first accepting the nomination of the governor and the lieutenant governor. As Senator Vinny said, the next 2 years will be looked back as some of the most pivotal years in our history. What we do with this time, this money, this opportunity, will really define the CNMI moving forward. And it's a difficult endeavor for anybody, so I thank you for accepting the opportunity to serve on the board for those 2 years. I agree with also Senator Saban in that it is comforting to know in your opening statement that you have entertained and researched some of the other paths that we can venture into economically to be sustainable here in this environment. That's going to be imperative as things move forward. Everything is evolving very quickly, and it's imperative that we understand that we need to evolve with this. So I hope that you use the wealth of experience that you've acquired over the years, excuse me, to bring that to bear in your new seat, if one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Nevers. Also would like to, for the record, to recognize the honorary member of this committee, the President of the Senate, Senator Joe Snyder. So you wish to have anything raised this morning in regards to the governor's appointment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for. Did we allow the members to pose the question already?
Your answer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Director Sama, and good morning to the CDA family and your family, Magagi Gallery. First of all, I wish to commend you for accepting the nomination from Governor Torres and Lieutenant Governor Palacios. You've probably been monitoring, or you're probably aware of the Public Law 22-01, the new acronym for CEDA now, and that is a product of a discussion under Committee of the Governor's Economic Advisor, Council of Economic Advisors, and this is a product of that. And I see some of the provisions in the law, primarily in Section 4, on page 3. And a lot of it is to, to assist in development of economic development, to assist in the development of the economic development plan for Commonwealth and control the implement the part of plan assigned to it by law. To be responsible for actively promoting the CNMI's allocation for private investments, to promote and encourage the CNMI and development of new businesses within the Commonwealth, as well as promote the retention and expansion of existing businesses. And that particular number on the law, Mr. Seaman, is, I think it's critical that we need to highlight that primarily for us here at the CNMI within. The reason I raised this is it's already been proven, and it's already happened that tourism can be frustrated, and we can close our borders, and we get in trouble, with our revenue in the general fund. So we're not hoping for another pandemic, but we don't know what's not going to happen, right? We don't know in the future that they're going to close our borders. So I brought this point out, sir, because I think we need to figure out how to make it not only promote businesses within the CNMI, but with the 3 main islands, and now, the northern islands is going to be another development moving forward. But I see the biggest challenge is the cost within. And I think other than Department of Commerce and the Chamber of Commerce for respective islands, I look to you guys to guide the legislature as to how to make it cheap, how to minimize the cost of doing business in between islands. We talk about transportation costs, we talk about everything else. If we look at the commerce statistics, it's pretty pricey, to retails wise, for general commodities for the islands of Rhoda and Tine. So I think part of this exercise here with the CEDA being law right now is, in addition to what you guys are doing, I think we need to take it to the next step. However it is we want to do it, come up with a 5-year plan, a 3-year plan, where we need to guide, so that the only way for us for our local people to stay in the game of entrepreneurship is if we give them the incentivize them to stay in the game, to make it a business viable, so they can stay in the game. Which brings to my point, and I say this over the last couple of years, and we have a very good resources in CDA right now that's partnering with my office and the municipality to really engage in promoting food security within the CNMI. If we can be able to provide enough food supply for us here, we can safely say that I think we can do it, and I believe it's doable. But for us to do that, we need to incentivize the program itself. Not saying that we're not doing it now, there is, but I think we need to take it a step further. How to make it equitable, or try to lessen the cost of bringing produce from Rhoda to Saipan, and bringing fish from Saipan to Rhoda, or vice versa. I think that's the challenge. And the CEDA law, which majority or not all of the legislature in the 22nd legislature voted overwhelmingly to support this. So that means we believe in this, and we believe in you guys. So you being an appointee, and I would like to say that you agreed to take up the challenge. Even if we're done with this exercise, let's continue communicating with the legislature, whether the House or the Senate, to get to the next step. And the worst thing that can happen is our people, especially the people that choose to live in the CNMI, or local people, is if they get lost, then we don't, join in on the momentum. Last, Mr. Chairman, I also want to say that in the island of Tingan, there's a lot of momentum with the development of the military. The U.S. Air Force diver field is coming around, so that means there's going to be more people coming in, and when there are more people, we require more food. So we need to encourage our ranchers and our farmers to get back into it and partake in the food security initiative for the cinema. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Seven, and buenos días a todos.
Thank you, Mr. President. This time I would like to recognize the floor of the Senate, Senator Villanueva.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the second round. I was just thinking, I thought I was done, and I went ahead and started acknowledging some factors that I'd like Mr. Senan to recognize, but I didn't ask him what are his factors. So I'd like to ask you, Mr. Senan, what are some of the factors that you have recognized? And what are some of the ideas and or concerns you see that needs to be addressed in regards to economics and development of the CNMI? As you stated in your opening statement, you have been working with investors and trying to bring investment here. But I'm curious to learn from what you have seen. I did bring up all the factors that I've acknowledged, but I'd like to hear from you. What are some of the factors, ideas, and concerns you have in this course of economic development?
Thank you, Senator. Actually, you guys talked about a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about. Data being the driving force of the future of our economic development. So it's good that we have the census. Those are resources that we will need as we move along with our planning. The work that I'm doing now is, like I said, it's from energy to food and data management. So the project I'm trying to bring in at this point deals with food security, as the president mentioned, and that means we need to use the technologies that is being driven now. So the projects I'm working with, we will need IBM, because IBM is the leading, say, as far as food security. So from the moment you produce an item, a food product, you trace it. It's a traceability thing. So we're going to be marketing global if we come through with the projects that I'm working on. We're thinking Walmart, all these off-takers, and I need time to come in and sit down with you folks. That's why I mentioned that. And I'm going to be working with CDA because these are ideas that are happening and we need to pursue it. What I'm getting from the companies that I'm working with is they need our government to be more aggressive in terms of these projects. They want us to be aggressive, to say, hey, look, let's bring it in because it makes sense. So we're talking food security, data, everything. And when I come in to see you folks, I'm going to present these basic projects. And it deals with energy, power plant. Just yesterday, I was working on my speech, the power went off. That's a big issue, I guess. Everybody knows that. So, the companies I'm working with, they knew what's our situation here. they knew about our, problem with power, everything. So, those are the things that I'm looking at. And I'm sure everybody is aware of these problems. So I hope I answered some of your questions, Senator.
Yes, thank you for your answer. I was taking notes as you were talking, so you did bring up some of the factors that I miss, technology being one. But I want to kind of recommend to maybe let's try to put more focus on like our local small business entrepreneurship, and try to see it when you sit on the table with the CETA board members. I know we always have to take that risk in giving out money for business ventures, but it's taking the risk. We have to take the risk in order to see the success, and if we can drive more small business, I think we can be in a good position to be self-sustaining. Right now, currently, from our office, my office here in the Senate, we've been looking at, and maybe another thing you can do is try to kind of come up with ideas on how we can start supporting our business community. Right now, what we're doing as the chairman of the Saipan and Northern Island legislative delegation, I've tasked, I actually created a zoning committee within the delegation, and I've tasked them to look at all the zoning regulations and for us to restructure several of those zoning regulations so that we can support business activity and not kind of choke them, so to speak, right? Kind of open that up, because we have to, with what's happening now, we have to be more creative with what we have and all the regulations we have. I'm currently working on a bill to amend some of the commerce regulations that is really challenging to our business owners, such as like our daily, if they don't renew their license or so, there's a daily fee of like $10, $15, $25 per day. And, sometimes it's not by on purpose that things are missed like this. Sometimes it's beyond their control, or some things are happening within their organizations or institutions. So I'm digging deep into a lot of the commerce bills, the commerce structures, and a lot of the zoning structures, so that we can try to find out and make those changes, and see what kind of amendments we can do to drive business up and welcome business and have business actually sustain themselves, our small businesses. So these are some of the things that we've been looking at here at the legislature, with fees and all of that. And it's been a conversation each year that we continue to speak of that. So I just bring that up to ask that if there's any ideas, or as you continue your reads and your research into this economic realm, that if there's any ideas you come up with, or if you see any challenges within our existing laws or regulations, to please share that with us, so that we can actually make those needed changes, right? So that we can support our business and our local entrepreneurship, and especially our small business. So I just wanted to bring that up, so that to let you know that our doors are always open for you and any of the fine staff and the leadership of CETA to come up and share your takes on stuff. I like working when I hear from the experts of the field. And we here as legislators, we have to be kind of little experts at every different realm of our government, right? From healthcare, public safety, education, economics, from tourism and all that stuff. But I always find that my work is more effective when I hear from the actual experts that are boots on the ground every day, looking into the economy and how to promote business, entrepreneurship. And that's the people, the fine staff at CETA. You guys do that on the daily. So I just want to welcome you and let you know that my door is open for you to share your ideas so that we can all work together in bringing back our economic prosperity. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Florida. Good morning again, Mr. Chairman.
Morning.
And thank you for your statement this morning. As I always mention, every single city now has become Commonwealth Economic Development Authority. It's even more wider responsibility. And I appreciate your commitment to accept this position. And the thing that I would like to ask is that you be able to work with the sitting members of the CADA, so we can whatever the ideas that can revitalize our economy will be, as you mentioned, it will be good for our Commonwealth. The thing is, CDA and now CDA have offered small scale businesses in our community, and it seems like not so many individuals in our community fully acknowledge the process of how you can be able to do a payment plan. And I have come across to some individuals that are interested in building up a small scale business. And for me, encouraging the community to participate in businesses, which is CED, I suggest that you emphasize if you're giving the blessing, the sitting members to stretch the program a little bit, like do some outreach or even public hearing to try and invite, because for me, small scales can become large scale. We have to depend on what we have here, because we don't know what's going to happen in the near future. That's what was happening on the unprecedented pandemic. We never expect this to happen, and it really affect our economic growth. And I want to share the meeting that I attended in January in regards to the Economic Council, and actually they had a meeting with a professional in economic growth and tourism, and that was very interesting, because all this time I thought it was Tinian, the island of Tinian, because it's very close to the island of Saipan. Everything is very close and very convenient, and Tinian is a lot faster in growing than the other road. But knowing that military activity is happening in Tinian, it is said that tourism is not is no longer feasible, or rather is not because of the military development. So now I would like to ask CDA or CDA, what kind of plan for the island of Tinian in regards to economic development? Like I mentioned in the past, because of the opportunity that it's been offered by CDA for economic growth, a small loan, but like I said, small scale can become large scale in the coming future. So I asked that what is the plan to present to Tinian, whether or not is it vital, because I know that tourism is no longer a a target for Tinian because of the military development. So is there any other ways besides tourism that can CDA maybe perhaps offer? How can we revitalize the economy of the island of Tinian? Rhoda and Northern Ireland is based on the expert that it's in regards to tourism industry will be a perfect location, for tourism here in the Congo. So, like I mentioned, is there a way that perhaps CDN can come down to the island and or even Rhoda and do some public hearing, a outreach program so that our locals can be, be part of the economic growth. Because I'm sure that the first thing in their mind is how can I repay? What is the repayment the payment plan? If I were to borrow small scale, like I believe it's, if I'm not, and I stand to be correct, if I'm not mistaken, it's about 200,000, right, at this time, for small, or if it's, so, a lot that I discussed about this, the first thing that is mentioned is how can I pay them back? And I know we have a program that will help them how to put a payment plan and help the borrower. And that will also revitalize the economy. Like I said, small scale can become large scale if a lot are into this program. Because we cannot always depend on we appreciate a large scale from the outside coming in. But at this point, I am not sure when even if we open the border, we're not sure whether tourists will travel because in their country they're still on red. I don't know whether they're willing to go out their country and do some do some travel. So let's start and do something on a smaller scale. And probably before the time comes where we a little bit, on a sustainable level. So I think we should start doing that. That's why I want to ask you, Mr. Simon, and I know that you already stated in your statement about revitalization of our economy in different areas that you mentioned in your statement. But I ask that if you're given the blessing by this by the Senate, that you sit down and continue what you're doing. That dream, I believe, will appreciate the Commonwealth of moving, forward. We appreciate anyone coming from the outset to do business here, and let's not forget also the smaller scale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. CDA's responsibility is to stimulate the economy. So that's what we'll be focusing on. And when we talk about small business is the backbone of even the U.S. economy. It's built on small businesses. Even those that I mentioned earlier, those are considered small businesses, but they're large, and the trickling effect will come down to everybody at the bottom. So the idea, and I like that, what you mentioned earlier, Mr. Chairman. I think CDA should focus on the outreach, because a lot of our people, a lot of our entrepreneurs might not be aware of the services or the programs that are available to them. And so I personally, I know that many of the people that I, interact with, they have very little information on CDA and what it can do to everybody. So to me, I think that's one of the key things that we need to do is, make the outreach program for CDA more available throughout the communities. Bring in people, maybe have a session where the CDA will, encourage people to do business. And that's very important. So any small business that we can encourage will help in the overall economy. And that is why I think in my speech, I want everybody to be involved in this, to do a business, because when you're doing business, that's good. You're creating the economy. And I'm glad that this body recognizes all of that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason why I continue to mention about all this because we have here in the county, we have a agricultural program, and I think if we extend and we do outreach program and maybe perhaps CDA also can collaborate with DPL and see what, and also with other regulatory, this is what's happening nowadays. Even though we want the economy to grow, and even a developer comes, regulatory bodies should be focusing on how we can revitalize our economy by expeditious process of permit. I understand that we have to follow the law, but I think we can mitigate things that will not violate the law and a little bit faster so that we will not drive away potential developers. This is the challenges that they're having so that maybe perhaps all regulatory bodies should be, sitting down, focusing on revitalizing economic growth. Because if we're working on different, I know that we have different responsibilities, but we're doing for one reason. It's for that economy to grow. But if we wait for another agency to, whatever the delay is, and we're not even, communicating to each other to make it, a little bit, easier also and more attractive for the Commonwealth to go by someone from the outside. I understand these people, rich people, for them, time is money. And if they lose a lot of time, we will drive them away. And I'm sure they will go because we experience in the other Kenyan developers that comes and go. Because for that reason. So that's why I encourage, even though this is CEDA and this one is DPO or DPW, whatever that regulatory might be, I think we should be collaborating to make the Commonwealth grow. I think in that instance, we're moving on the right and positive direction. So I ask if you're giving the blessing, look into that. And I know there will be a lot of changes by working together. Again, thank you for your, for your time, and any members wishes to
Thank you.
give more statement. Okay. So questions and concerns are now closed. This time all public comments are taken. Let the record reflect that there are also written testimonies submitted from individuals in support of the appointee before this committee and will be included in the Senate Standing Committee Recommendation Report, along with oral testimonies to be forwarded before the full Senate members in consideration for confirmation or rejection. And before we adjourn, I would like to extend on behalf of the members of this committee our appreciation and gratitude to Governor Torres and Lieutenant Governor Palacio Representative, Ms. Zarina Maritita, Ms. Shai, the appointee, Mr. Isidro K. Semen, and especially the members of the general public for your participation and involvement during this important public hearing process. And we certainly hope that we'll continue this dialogue of communication between us, the elected officials, and the public to keep you abreast and informed of our current and future Senate hearings ahead that relates to public best interests. This concludes this public hearing. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn today's public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
There is a motion for adjournment and was seconded. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. This public hearing is now adjourned. Thank you.